I've been given the chance to build an entire bike park. So in the last video, we built most of the blue track, this epic flowy jump trail, which gets most of the way down the hill. But in order to get to the bottom, so many logs have to be moved. Right now, I don't know if you can hear behind me, but there's an ongoing forestry operation to remove all the trees that have been cut down. And it means there's no space to keep building. But down here at the dirt jumps, we have space. And that's today's focus. So the most iconic part of Woburn Bike Park has always been the dirt jumps. Like, this is a legendary spot that's been running for about 30 years, and I've been lucky enough to have ridden it for a lot of that, or 20 years. And I've said it before, I wouldn't be anything without this spot. It's been so integral to my career, and that's why it's so important to get it right. Now, all the jumps behind me don't really work. They haven't been ridden barely all year because there's been a lot of experimentation since sort of like lockdown up to now. We're trying to make these dirt jumps run downhill and then turn around and come back uphill. And to try and make that work, all the levels have been changed a lot, okay? And for example, behind this little landing here, it drops about 8 foot from where we're stood. And that means that if I was gonna try and make these jumps work and work with what we currently have, we'd have like a 2 foot jump here and then a 12-foot jump. And I don't think that's conducive to people coming and being onboarded into dirt jumping, of having that huge step. And also, to work with the ground level that's currently here, we'll end up probably with something similar again. I mean, there's literally a road, a carriageway through the dirt jump. So we have to forget everything that's here and just focus on the fact that this is a clean slate project. And based on that, I'm gonna do something I never thought I'd do on this channel, an unbuild laps. I've never done a demolition laps before, that was brutal. But now look at the space, like look at the potential where we can build anything we want. The dirt jump area has the best sand of the entire woods, so we can build some amazing shapes. I've chosen to leave the top line, as we used to call it, I think now it's called the main line, because it actually worked and it has the potential to carry on all the way to the bottom now. So I think, while we've only got a couple of months to build stuff, we should keep the stuff that could be rejuvenated and brought back to life. So that's one for Jameson on the shovel. This is such a better hill to build dirt jumps on because it's just gradual. Like, you don't want to double your speed in a second, you want to build slowly. And we've kind of got this to lead into a trails line. I definitely want to build a new, like, proper twisty trails line, but that will more so be done by hand. So while I've got the massive digger, I thought I'm probably going to start piling up like an 8-pack. An 8-pack is just 4 jumps. If you've heard the term double with a takeoff and landing, 4 of those is an 8-pack, so 8 features, I guess. Woburn's never had one. It's always been about trails and twisty stuff because we've built it by hand, but most bike parks just have a series of pretty straight jumps to hone your skills, and I know that people on trail bikes can ride them and dirt jump bikes can do tricks, so it's a really good offering for a bike park to have. And now down this motorway, I think that's what I'll build with the big digger. So imagine this, right? So the top line starts up there, but we don't need that much speed. I'm gonna raise this area up a little bit around the trees, so you'll roll in off the end of a start ramp, down here, and then probably a couple of rollers to ease into it. Then I think we should build an S-bend through those 2 trees to keep it away from the top line. So S-bend, then you'll straighten up here, maybe another roller, and then I think, honestly, like a little 2.5, 3 foot takeoff into a longer landing where it drops away, and that's all your speed perfectly for a series of takeoff landing that get progressively bigger with a nice trick jump at the end. That's what Woburn needs. Like if you want to learn a trick, Woburn will now be the place to come to. If you want to bang them together and get ready for a competition run, Woburn will be the place to come to. If you want to ride trails, Woburn will still be the place to come to, you know? So let's build an 8-pack of some description that works. Build laps. This is going to be so sick. So already we've got like a sweeping S-bend with a roller in the middle. It's literally a roller coaster. It's kind of inspired by the blue line up there, but way more trailsy, way more dirt jump. And Jamie's made it look immense with the shovel, like so good. I've kind of got the hand of the tilt rotator now, right? On that, but on that huge 8-ton machine, which is now gone, working on all these tight and intricate bits is like sharpening a pencil with a rocket launcher. It was actually too big, but I got the hang of it enough to kind of get the shapes of this. Jamie, that inside edge there looks remarkable. Cheers, mate. Well done you. Right, carrying on. So you drop in, and this is like the flowy, oh, I've got no crutches now, by the way. This is, I want to build a line that's progressive where someone who's just learning gap jumps can do the first jump, and then that leads into a bigger jump, the biggest jump they've ever done, the biggest jump they've ever done. That's kind of my idea of trails and dirt jumps and how you can actually nurture someone through a line. All they have to do is jump the first jump, and presumably if they don't break or case a jump, they'll get to the end. So the first jump is honestly 5 foot long, would you say? It's not very big. Slightly step down, which I always like. Step downs are really good for giving you speed and they're quite safe. But the landing's so long, so when we pulled all the dirt to the top of the hill, it really kind of made the gradient perfect for trails, I think. So off a tiny 2.5, 3 foot takeoff, suddenly you're gonna have a ton of speed down a nice flat landing. So definitely up to here, you could do it on a trail bike. You don't even need specifically a dirt jump bike, which I think is going to be quite a fun addition to the place, really. Previously, there was quite a lot of sort of salty conflicts and politics where the dirt jumps were just for smooth tyres and the downhills were for downhill bikes. But I think now we're getting to the point where well-maintained jumps can be ridden on both if the line's built correctly. Now, the line above, that's a bit of a mess at the minute, the original top line, we've decided to keep that because it was really fun. It survived the test of time for 8 years. Like I filmed a lot of stuff on that and really enjoyed it. So that needs to stay. That's going to be our trails line, like steep hips, twisty features that are much more advanced, but way more suited to dirt jump bikes. So I think it's important to recognise the difference between two lines that sit side by side. The irony is that in the unbuild laps, I tore down everything that was here, and we've kind of put the jumps back in a similar space to where they were. But there was, honestly, we dug up so much crap. There's sandbags, gutters, pipes, leaves, plastic, tarps, logs, stumps, which has all had to be moved out the way to give us clean sand to build jumps with. So this is the first super wide, super flat jump, probably like a 10-foot gap, which off of that landing makes sense. You could definitely case it and be fine. You could definitely overshoot it and be fine. You could probably transfer from the hip on top line up there down to this landing, and I'd like to think you could transfer up from that takeoff up to the hip landing. The whole purpose of building really wide jumps is inspired by Gorge Road Trails, where I love in New Zealand. They build everything so wide because over the years they've built transfers and different takeoffs to feed into different landings. So with the width of this place and the width of the landings, I'd like to think that in a year's time there'll be way more takeoffs, all twisting and winding. You could right hip off of that, you could have a setback lip there. The rolling could, you know, there's so much potential for what we want to do, but I think this is a really important line to get in. So that's the second jump, technically a 4-pack. And then the harvester and the forward have built a road all the way through here, which you've seen. So it actually made sense as like a low point where the water was already gathering to cross over it and pump down. So look at this landing, right? That is so wide. It's probably, I don't know, it's as wide as a Mercedes S-Class is long. And 52 degrees steep, which we measured, which is exactly the same steepness as the side of the Great Pyramids. So you land that, whether you land it well on a trail bike, case it on a jump bike, you go high or do a backflip, this pump down here where I'm stood, if we swap places, you get the opportunity to pump down. That's so important. Like, I really like sets of dirt jumps where they spread out. And here, that pump could either get your speed back if you've lost it casing, you could build more speed for a big trick on definitely what is the biggest takeoff so far on the line. That's over 6 foot tall. I actually think it's too tall. I think coming out of that last jump, we should probably tone this one down a bit. But again, driving an 8-ton digger up on top of that and sitting in it with the crutches behind the seat, it's very difficult for me to get like a precise gauge on how things look and the angles. But I think it's not as nice looking as the ones before, but we've had insanely bad weather. Like, look there. Woburn never has standing water, really. It's been gnarly and it's presented. Ow, I did that over a week ago, that section. I've spent the last week down the bottom trying to move a pond. Honestly, I've had to move 2 swamps. I've given up on crutches because it doesn't even benefit. Oh, I've actually, the first time I've seen that out the digger. So I spent the last couple hours sat here. We've had a swap out of diggers. I don't have the tilt rotator anymore. We off-hired that on the day of rain, but Lord Henry, he's got a 9-ton machine and a 3. So we've got more digger power than ever. I've never driven a 9-ton, it's a beast. But it doesn't have a tilt grader or a rotator, so I've been a bit less fine-tuney, but that's a beast! Dude, from where I am, that's probably 10 foot tall, isn't it? Yeah. More than 10 foot, it's like twice your height. See, this is what's sick. And also, I always say this, but people just can't buy into it. Big jumps are always easier than little ones. So I think the way that first jump's 5 foot long, and now we're on a 10-foot landing or a 3.5 meter tall landing, is so good for progression, because you could land down here and be fine. You could case it, bounce, and still land on a bit of landing. Like, if you've got the balls to hit bigger jumps, they are so much easier. And I don't want people to be put off by how big that landing is. The takeoff's right behind it. Right now it's a tabletop, because that was the only way to build it with a massive machine. And you're only 10 seconds on from jumping a little jump. So that's where dirt jumps and trails can be so progressive. You just land, feel good on the bike, and you get my reaction. You land on a landing, turn around and go, whoa, it's massive. You weren't even aware. And then the next takeoff's ridiculous, but I need to bash it right down and compact it with the bucket before I can trim it and grade it. I don't know, the dirt jump area is going to be an ongoing quest, okay? I know I've just walked you through a line really slowly, but what I really wanted to do is just get this straight, square, benchmark set of jumps from the top point to the bottom point, and from there come transfers, options, races off, berms. That's where the complexity and like the wonder of trails come from. It really needs a very straight and basic line through the middle to branch off, and I'm really glad Woburn has that again. It had it 10 years ago. When I discovered this place, there was a main line right down the middle, and a few years later it widened. But I don't think Woburn's ever figured itself out again since, because it's all, we went straight in with building hips and trails. You can't really like scale that, so I'm stoked about this. This is going to be a super progressive spot. That's what's important to me. And we've got a line already which sets as a benchmark for learning tricks, riding trails, and just hitting a 5-foot jump that looks really fun and accessible, then a few seconds later being in the air on a 10-foot one. Like, that is the beauty of dirt jumps, and that's what they're supposed to do. So we'll keep going until we hit a wall at the other end of the hill, and then we'll start another line. So I wanted this video to have riding in it. I wanted the line to be complete. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. I don't think it's gonna get to the point we can ride it, especially with the bad weather we've had. But the first video of that blue run went down so well. Like, hundreds of thousands of people are stoked and really want the best out of this place. So I felt a duty to get this video out there so you can keep track of what's going on over Christmas. Thanks for all the support this year. It's been mega. Love you all. See you in the next Build Laps. Legend.